Have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions? Well, today we're going to dig into this really powerful idea, and it's backed by science that says you can stop just reacting to life and actually start writing your own story. We're going to dive deep into the science of self-determination. So, let's just kick things off with a pretty direct question. Think about it for a second. Are you the author of your life? Or do you sometimes feel more like a passenger, just kind of long for the ride, going wherever the road takes you? That's really the core question we're going to unpack today. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about what it even means to be the author of your life. Then, we're going to look under the hood at the engine that drives us all. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty, the tools for navigating your world. We'll see how to build that sense of personal power, and then we'll put it all together to see what a self-determined life really looks like. All right, let's do it. Section 1. So, what does it really mean to be the author of your own life? Well, it all boils down to this one foundational idea: human agency. So, what on earth is human agency? You can kind of think of it like being the CEO of your own life. It's that deep down feeling, that personal empowerment that comes from knowing you've got what it takes to hit your goals. It's the drive to be the author of your actions, the one making things happen, not just the person things happen to. And this is a pretty big deal because it represents a huge shift in how we think about behavior. For a long time, the old theory was basically that we're like pinballs in a machine. We just bounce around reacting to whatever the environment throws at us. But this newer idea, human agentic theory, says, no way, you're not the pinball, you're the player. You are the primary driver. You actively shape your world and how you respond to it. So how do we get there? It really is a journey, and it unfolds in a few key steps. It all starts with our basic needs. Those needs fire up our motivation. That motivation pushes us to take action. And those actions, over time, build our sense of agency, which ultimately leads to self-determination. So let's break down this whole process, step by step. Okay, section 2. So where does all this energy, this drive, come from? Well, let's pop the hood and look at the engine. The fuel for this entire journey really comes down to 3 basic, universal psychological needs. Yeah, at our very core, we are all driven by these 3 things. The source material calls satisfying them the energizer of behavior, and I think that's perfect. It's like these aren't just nice to haves, they're essential psychological nutrients we all need to thrive. First up, we've got autonomy. This is simply the need to feel like your actions are yours, that you chose them. It's that deep desire to be the origin of your own behavior, not just a pawn being moved around on a chessboard. Next, there's competence. This one's pretty straightforward. It's that need to feel effective, to feel like you're good at what you do. Every time you successfully tackle a challenge or learn something new, you're feeding that need to feel capable and successful. And number 3 is relatedness. We're social animals, right? We have this fundamental need to feel connected to other people, to have those close emotional bonds, and to feel like we belong. So here's the kicker. When those 3 needs, autonomy, competence, and relatedness, are met, they create this thing called autonomous motivation. And this is huge. This isn't just regular motivation. It's this incredibly powerful, self-driven desire to act that comes from deep within you. Okay, so we've got the fuel. We've got the engine roaring with motivation. But a powerful engine isn't much good if you don't know how to drive the car. So this next part is all about navigating your world, the mindset, and the actual skills you need to take all that motivation and turn it into real action. And it all starts with what's going on in your head, your mindset. They're called action control beliefs. So let's break it down. First, there's control expectancy. That's simply believing, hey, I can achieve this goal. Then you have agency beliefs, which is, okay, I believe I have the means to do it. And finally, causality beliefs. This is the belief that these specific things I'm going to do will actually be effective. So you've got the mindset, now you need the toolkit. And this toolkit has 2 parts. The first is what we call volitional action. Think of this as the planning stage, making choices, setting goals, solving problems before you even start. Then you've got agentic action. This is the doing part, managing yourself, monitoring your progress, and actually getting the thing done. And when you combine those 2 things, your mindset and your toolkit, they work together to create what's called causal action. This is the good stuff. This is effective, purposeful action. All right, so we're taking action. But the journey doesn't stop there. This is where the real magic starts to happen, because our actions begin to change how we see ourselves. It's time to talk about becoming the causal agent. So, what is causal agency? It's really this feeling that you can act with the intention of making something happen, of creating a specific change in your life. It's that shift from feeling like a passenger to knowing you're the one in the driver's seat, causing the effects you want to see. And this is so important. This isn't something you're just born with. You build it. Think of it like a muscle. Every single time you use your mindset and your skills to tackle a challenge, big or small, you're strengthening that sense of causal agency. It creates this amazing positive feedback loop. Okay, so we've walked the whole path. We started with our basic needs, saw how they create motivation, how that leads to action, and how action builds our sense of agency. So, what's the grand finale? What does a self-determined life actually look like when you put all these pieces together? Well, you can really see the contrast here. It's like there are two different paths. On one path, you've got someone who feels shaped by others, who struggles with solving problems, and often just feels hopeless. But on the other path, you have the highly self-determined person. They see themselves as the primary origin of their actions. They have high aspirations. They push through obstacles. And maybe most importantly, they learn from their failures. So let's just recap the whole chain of events one more time. It's so powerful. Your needs fuel your motivation. That motivation powers your actions. Your actions build your sense of agency. And that agency is what ultimately makes you self-determined. See how it all connects? You know, Edward Deci, one of the brilliant minds behind this whole theory, just nailed it with this quote. He said, "Without choice, there would be no agency and no self-regulation." At the end of the day, it all comes back to that, choice. Which brings us right back to you. This is the question that takes everything we've talked about and makes it real. So I'll leave you with this. What's one choice? It doesn't have to be huge. It can be small. What is one choice you can make today to start writing your next chapter?